Warm greetings to you all. In this presentation, we will get an overview of outcome based education. OBE is the buzzword in the current scenario of Indian higher education. It is being adopted at a fast pace in various colleges at this moment. OBE is considered as a giant leap forward to improve the quality of higher education and help Indian graduates compete with their global counterparts. Now, let's observe some glimpses of traditional education system and the deficiencies in that. The traditional teaching style is often described as teacher centered, lectures, curriculum centered, and in other words, transmitting information from the teacher to the student. The traditional learning provides the learner with knowledge or skills, or both, but they are not coupled to a specific context. So, the learning takes place in a vacuum and cannot be regarded as outcomes based learning. It belongs to the input part of the learning process. Now, let's see some deficiencies in traditional education system. It was a rigidly structured curriculum process without any stakeholder participation in the decision making process. It laid an emphasis on academic education and excellence, which resulted in the development of skills being neglected. It was non referenced, whereby learner achievement was compared to that of other learners, and this resulted in excessive competition. There is a gap between formal education and training for a career. Testing of learner achievement in terms of symbols or marks or grades were often not a true reflection of the learner's actual performance. A teacher centered rather than a learner centered classroom approach was applied. It was a content based curriculum whereby the teacher instructed and the learner memorized. Lack of collaboration and group learning. Improper alignment between objectives, activities, and assessments. Lack of emphasis on soft skills needed in jobs like communication skills, interpersonal skills, analytical skills, working attitude, etc. The definition of outcome based education. There are different definitions for outcome based education. The most widely used one is William Spady in the year of 1994. An OBE curriculum means starting with a clear picture of what is important for students to be able to do, then organizing the curriculum, instruction, and assessment to make sure this learning ultimately happens. Now, let's see the four basic principles of OBE. Clarity of focus. It means that teachers must be clearly focused on what they want students to know, understand, and be able to do. In other words, teachers should focus on helping students to develop the knowledge, skills, and personalities that will enable them to achieve the intended outcomes that have been clearly articulated. The second principle is designing down. It means that the curriculum design must start with a clear definition of the intended outcomes that students are to achieve by the end of the program. Once this has been done, all instructional decisions are then made to ensure achieve this desired end result. The third principle is high expectation. It means that teachers should establish high, challenging standards of performance in order to encourage students to engage deeply in what they are learning. Helping students to achieve high standards is linked very closely with the idea that successful learning promotes more successful learning. The last one is expanded opportunities. Teachers must strive to provide expanded opportunities for all students. This principle is based on the idea that not all learners can learn the same thing in the same way and in the same time. However, most students can achieve high standards if they are given appropriate opportunities. Now, let's see some important aspects of the outcome based education. Course. Course is defined as a theory, practical, or theory come practical subject studied in a semester. Course outcome is the statement that describes significant and essential learning that learners have achieved and can reliably demonstrate at the end of a course. Generally, three or more course outcomes may be specified for each course based on its weightage. Program is defined as the specialization or discipline of a degree. It is the interconnected arrangement of courses, co-curricular and extracurricular activities to accomplish predetermined objectives leading to the awarding of a degree. Program outcomes. Program outcomes are narrower statements that describe what students are expected to be able to do by the time of graduation. Program outcomes are expected to be aligned closely with graduate attributes. Program educational objectives. The program educational objectives of a program are the statements that describe the expected achievements of graduates in their career, and also in particular the graduates are expected to perform and achieve during the first few years after graduation. Program specific outcomes. Program specific outcomes are what the student should be able to do at the time of graduation with reference to a specific discipline. Usually, there are 2 to 4 program specific outcomes for a program. Graduate attributes. Learning outcomes are aligned with graduate attributes which describe the qualities, attitudes, behaviors, values, and ethics built into the learning process that he is encouraged to take responsibility for developing through his studies. Similar qualities will be expected of him in practice. Formative assessment. The collection of information about student learning during the progression of a course or program in order to improve students' learning. Example, reading the first lab reports of a class to assess whether some or all students in the group need a lesson on how to make them succinct and informative. Summative assessment. The gathering of information at the conclusion of a course, program, or undergraduate career to improve learning or to meet accountability demands. When used for improvement, impacts the next cohort of students, taking the course or program. Example: examining students' final exams in a course to see if certain specific areas of the curriculum were understood less well than others. Analyzing senior projects for the ability to integrate across disciplines. Criterion referenced assessment. Criterion referenced assessments are designed to measure student performance against a fixed set of predetermined criteria or learning standards. That is, concise written descriptions of what students are expected to know and be able to do at a specific stage of their education. Alternative assessments. Alternative assessments, also referred to as performance tests or authentic assessments, which are used to determine what students can and cannot do, in contrast to what they do or do not know. In other words, an alternative assessment measures applied proficiency more than it measures knowledge. Authentic assessments. Authentic assessment that fits meaningful real life experiences. It includes recording evidence of the learning process, applications in products and performances, perception of visual and audio relationships, integration of new knowledge, reflecting profitability on one's own progress, and interpreting meaning in consideration of contextual facts. Performance assessments, an observation of the process of creating an answer or product that demonstrates a student's knowledge or skills. Directly observable, student generated evidence of learning. Selecting teaching and learning activities. Selecting teaching and learning activities aims to help students to attain the intended learning outcomes and engage them in these learning activities through the teaching process. John Wicks suggested the following points of guidance for planning teaching strategies. Sound knowledge is based on interconnections, connecting new learning with old. Encourage students to create conceptual structures which integrate their new and old learning. Develop metacognitive skills by being explicit about learning and maximizing students' awareness of their own knowledge construction through structured reflection. Plan learning activities that actively involve students. Activity heightens arousal and makes performance more efficient. Incorporate explicitly stated study skills into learning, and, if necessary, provide support for developing skills, for example, in teamwork. Consider how information technology can support learning and teaching. Hereby, I conclude this overview of outcome based education. In India, we have started implementing this OBE in almost all the institutions all over. Our new education policy also insists that the education should be student centric. Let's make our country invulnerable and indisputable by making our teaching strategies to be focused on our students. Thank you.